Hello and welcome to the final episode of Euros Weekly. I'm Jak Richardson. I'm going to be joined again by Wes McGrath, Tom Cayless from Archball UK and Georgia Stevens. And wow, what a time to be recording this. You know, there's a bit of a worry. It might not have been as good of an episode it could have been, but let's just address the elephant in the room. It's the day after the night before. England have made it into a final of a major tournament for the first time in 55 years. None of us have ever experienced that. Our parents probably haven't experienced that. How is everyone feeling, Wes? What do you think about last night?
Yeah, hi, Jak. Hi, everyone. Obviously, great to be back on. And I mean, I think everybody is just on cloud nine at the moment with obviously what happened last night. And it's just such a great feeling, isn't it? Just to be positive for a change. I mean, I'm a Spurs fan and we haven't had much positivity over the last sort of 18 months or so. But yeah, no, it's nice to be feeling positive about something regarding football, that's for sure.
Tom, I can see you've obviously got a bit of the England fever. You got the Foden haircut. You got the shirt on. You must be happy after last night.
Yeah, obviously, I'm buzzing. It was amazing. Probably one of the best nights of my life, definitely. And it was honestly just surreal, especially like over the past few years, the disconnect there's been with the national team and the fans. But Southgate obviously just brought everyone back together, and it was unbelievable. And like words can't describe how good it was.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned obviously that disconnect between the team and the fans in the past, and that's definitely gone. Georgia, is that something you're feeling? Are you feeling the love surrounding the England setup this year?
Definitely. I think, like, as a Scouser, we have a weird relationship with the national team, but I think this year, fans aside, that team I really like. There's 26 lads there and a manager and a backroom staff that we can all kind of get behind, and that's kind of representing modern England. And to see those lads, stand there in front of the fans and sing along and cheer last night was, I think, the epitome of what the national team should have been for the past few years, and it looks like it really is this year.
Yeah, it's interesting to mention, actually. A good friend of mine is also from Liverpool, and I'm well aware of that sort of sometimes a disconnect between Liverpool and the rest of the nation and that weird relationship. And I think it's just something the rest of us have got to respect. But even he's been, he's famously in the past been totally against the national team, but he's been all for it this year. I just think there's something surrounding it. Obviously, playing well on the pitch helps, but it really has been a great tournament so far. And, last night epitomised it all. Obviously, want to get all of your thoughts on the game. I'll start off with you, Wes. What did you think of that game last night? Do you think, result aside, do you think the performance was good?
Yeah, I think in terms of the actual game, I think it was a really, really good watch. I was getting quite a few messages of people that were sort of nervous watching it. But I was kind of the opposite. I was just like really, really excited about it. And just watching it, I just thought, like I say, it was a really, really good watch. I thought Denmark were really, really good. I think obviously England came out flying out the traps early doors, that first sort of 10, 15 minutes. And then when the game calmed down a little bit, Denmark started to grow in the game a little bit. Damsgaard started to find little pockets of space, and he looked dangerous. He's looked to threat. I mean, all tournament. And for me, he's been one of the standout sort of younger players within this tournament as well. And then, I mean, his free kick was absolutely unbelievable. It was a bit obviously disheartening to see England concede a goal, but I mean, if it's one like that, I mean, you can't really complain. But then I think from then on, it was almost a case of like, right, how do England react? And I thought the way we reacted, we stayed really calm. It was almost like we had a game plan. We stuck to that game plan, and it was only a matter of time, it seemed, before we would get not only one goal, but that second goal as well. So yeah, I mean, credit to everybody, I think, within the England setup for the way that game went. And then obviously into extra time, we were 2-1 up, and I think the game management of the players was absolutely fantastic. Certainly towards the end of the game, it was almost like, right, protect what we've got, and just try and see the game out. But I think the game itself was a really, really good watch, really fascinating, I think. And obviously, everybody's glad that we got through to the final in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally in agreement. I think it was a great watch. It was an interesting game. Very tight at times. You mentioned Damsgaard there. I was also I think a lot of the Denmark players were quite impressive. Tom, I want to go over to you. Obviously, similar sort of lines. It was a good result, a good performance. But, you know, part of me was thinking last night, the actual 90 minutes, we didn't win. Was there anything there to suggest that there could be a little bit of uncertainty going into the Italy game? Is there any sort of nerves from you? You know, that's a stubborn defence, the Italian defence. And if we struggle with Denmark, do you think maybe we'll struggle in places on Sunday?
I don't think so. I'm still fully confident, especially because obviously before this game, we hadn't conceded. So we didn't know what the team was going, like how we were going to react to going a goal behind. But like Wes said before, we were excellent. I thought obviously we were fast out first 10, 15 minutes, and then we sort of slowed down. Denmark sort of got into the game. Obviously the free kick, we can't really complain to anyone about that. It was just a brilliant goal. I don't think any keeper would have saved that. But the way we reacted, we showed that we can come from behind, and we can put the work in, grit hard, and we were really good. And I think people obviously were saying it was a soft penalty, but there was maybe another two that we could have had. Obviously that one on Kane in the 90 minutes, and I think there was one on Henderson as well. But yeah, I'm fully confident going into the Italy game, and I think we will do it. Obviously, I hope we do. But no, I can see us picking up the trophy on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Look, although it was a drawn game, we did play well in that. Yeah, I do totally agree with that. I am confident going into Sunday. I'm quietly confident. I do know Italy are a good side. Georgia, I wanted to ask you, obviously, I mean, I'm sure you get asked this kind of thing all the time, but you obviously probably play a little bit of a high-level football than the rest of us. And I want to know if there was anything in particular about last night that you noticed. Obviously, I think you might see things that some of us don't. So was there anything in particular that stood out to you?
I think for me, like, you know, we're talking to people here who obviously are involved in coaching as well. So, like, it's not just, like, us footballers have these magic eyes. But I think for me, it was the game management, kind of like what Wes said of, you know, we've seen England teams of the past and other teams, you know, Liverpool were probably the same as well, of get carried away when we're ahead and we try and push for that next goal and we try and get 3-1 up because it's more comfortable than 2, because I think we always feel that nerves of it's just 1 goal. If they score, it's them pens. And to see the team, I mean, I'm looking at them keep that ball and I'm like, get it to the corner, stop playing it round the back. Like, I don't know what you're doing. We've got 7 minutes here. There's no way England can keep this ball for 7 minutes. And we did. We absolutely knocked it about and kept that ball. And to see that and to see that confidence and kind of comfort and fitness, that's the main thing as well. You know, we saw Raheem Sterling actually break through kind of in the last minute of the game of extra time. That's fit. Like, that is absolute fitness for these players to be able to do that, to keep running. Kyle Walker the same. So Man City have clearly got something going right there in terms of their fitness plan for the season. But to see that and to see the kind of the knowledge and the comfort in their tactics as well was unbelievable. You know, you've got players on that pitch who are completely comfortable going into a 5 at the back, who are comfortable, you know, rotating up front. And to see that from an England side of it, you know, you've got, at the end of the day, the national team's a bunch of players who only play together maybe once or twice a year in them sort of environments, and to see them so comfortable in those type of tactics was really, it was exciting to see.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm going to stick with you actually for a second, because you mentioned their sort of game management and stuff like that. And I'm going to throw it back to the semi-final at the World Cup, which, looking back, I think that's probably something we lacked. You know, we were 1-0 up early in that game and, you know, sort of famously threw it away. Does this team this time around just feel a little bit more confident? Do you watch that team and think, actually, I sort of trust them going into this final?
I think it's the breed of English footballers that are coming through now. I think you've got the likes of Saka and Bellingham and other players are in there who weren't even born when, you know, Euro 96. I wasn't born in 96. Most of us weren't. Like, they don't have that baggage. Their parents don't have that baggage. They haven't been brought up constantly with the reminder of England need to win this, England need to win that. They've actually been brought up with England teams that have always been bits of disappointments. So they have come into this side with actually nothing, with no pressure on their back, because it's like, well, we can't do any worse than that. People expect us to lose, so, you know, we can go out there and be ourselves. And I think Declan Rice was kind of the perfect example in an interview. Someone asked him, did you think you'd be here, you know, playing on Wembley, blah, blah, and he was like, yeah. And it's that belief within them players, because it's like, yeah, they know they're good. They're Premier League players at the end of the day. They're starting for their teams week in, week out. We've had 5 English teams in Champions League finals in the past 3 years. We're doing something right within these leagues and these systems at the moment. So why shouldn't these players believe in themselves? I think that's the difference, is there's a genuine belief within them teams that isn't fake, that isn't, put on. And there's a real cohesion between them as well. I think Gary Neville's talked about it as well, of the fact that there's no real club rivalries at the moment. And yeah, that can be the way the game is going. I mean, probably much to Roy Keane's dismay, is, that there's this kind of lack of intense aggression of masculinity, and everyone hates each other on these camps. There's actual kind of bonding going on, but Gareth Southgate's got a lot to thank for that as well, and that's probably from his experience. So I think there's lots of factors that are going into this team, but I definitely think that belief and that cohesion is something that we probably haven't seen in a national team before.
I think, yeah, you've hit a nail on the head there. I was watching that game last night and I'm thinking, this team, they're so together. You've got a back line of two players from either side of Manchester. You've got Harry Kane from Spurs with Saka from Arsenal up front. It's I think that cohesion is definitely something we've missed, and probably where we failed in the past. You look back at the teams that included the likes of Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, and I think famously there probably was a little bit of this rivalry between them. I'm going to head over to you, Wes. I just mentioned Harry Kane there up top with Saka. When I spoke to you last time, there was maybe a little bit of doubt surrounding Harry Kane, not from you, obviously. You said he was going to come good, and he certainly has. What have you made of him since the last time we spoke?
All I need to say is Captain Kane has just stepped up and delivered, as I said he would. Look, it's not rocket science. You need to give him the kind of service for him to do the business, and he's obviously ended up getting that service. I think the Czech Republic game was a turning point for me in the sense of getting him involved a little bit more in play, because we did see in these opening 2 games he was dropping deep, but I think what happened was there was only perhaps one runner going in behind, and that was Raheem Sterling, but Sterling wasn't doing it consistently, so he wasn't doing it every time. And then obviously when Foden was playing, he was kind of drifting in off the line and wanting to link the play as well. But then in that Czech Republic game, obviously Saka started and he was just willing to just go and stretch the pitch. And I think that helped Harry Kane massively, because then obviously you got Saka doing it and then Sterling started doing it a bit more. And then it just gave Kane that little bit more space to operate in. And, he's been devastating. And we saw last night for that first goal as well. Kane dropping in, receiving on that half turn, sliding in Saka, who made a lovely run in behind. And, all of a sudden now, we're in behind. Saka puts the ball across and Kay has got a decision to make, whether he slides and tries to prevent the goal. And if he doesn't, Sterling's got to tap in anyway. But, I mean, who cares if it was Kaya that scored or Sterling that scored? Obviously, the ball went in the back of the net. But I think Kane, like I say, since that Czech Republic game, I think he's been absolutely brilliant. Obviously, against Germany, got his goal. And he's just been, like I say, he's just been top draw ever since. And I think last night, his all-round game, I think, was just top class. Like, he just had a bit of everything in his game. Obviously, the penalty, yeah, all right, it wasn't the greatest penalty in the world, but, he's managed to strategically play a 1-2 off of Kasper Schmeichel to get the rebound and stick it away. But like I said, I think his whole round game last night was fantastic, and even against Ukraine as well. I thought that like all round package that you sort of get with Harry Kane when he is confident and he is firing, certainly came to the fore in these last few games. But Kane does need that little bit of time to get going. We've seen it when he comes back from an injury at Tottenham. Like, it does take him a good few games to get back up to speed, but. I think from an England perspective, like I say, from that Czech Republic game onwards, I think Harry Kane has just been absolutely brilliant. And I had to back him, Captain Kane, and he's come up trumps. So, and the thing is as well, like, he could be in with a shout of the Golden Boot as well, despite the fact he didn't really score for a few games. And now we're going into Sunday's final, and he could still win the Golden Boot. So I think again that's great testament to him and his mentality. But also the team around him. But like I said, he needs pace. in either wing, really, to get the best out of him if he is going to drop deep. And I think, like I say, when we had that sort of pace in the team, you've seen a completely different Harry Kane. Yeah, no, look, I think since we last spoke about him, he must have watched that episode or something, because he really has been great. Another player, I think we mentioned that game, and another player that's arguably been one of our players of the tournament, if not the player of the tournament for us, is Raheem Sterling. Tom, I know you're a City fan. You get to see him week in, week out. Just how pleased are you with how well he's done in this campaign?
Honestly, it's been mad to see how good he's been. I think a lot of people doubted him going into the tournament after the season he's had, and watching him this season for City anyway, he's just been so different to how he's been before for us. So I think he was doubted before going into the tournament. I'm not going to lie, I'll put my hands up. I was one of the people that doubted him. I wouldn't have had him in the team starting off, but obviously Gareth give his trust, and he's repaid it. He's been excellent. I think last night he was world class. Like Wes was saying before, he the way he runs in behind, he's just been completely different to how I think I expected him to be, especially, and I think how a lot of people expected him to be. And he's just proved that I don't think we should doubt players as much as I think our nation tends to. So yeah, it's been obviously, being a City fan as well, it's been wonderful to see, and hopefully it can carry on for us next season. But for England, it's just been an honour to watch him play as good as he's been.
Yeah, as you said, an honour to watch him play, and I think it has been really good. And he's a player he's been involved in the England setup longer than most in that team. Obviously, he personally has seen at a young age, and to see him, as you said, their play at a world-class level is excellent. There's one final thing I want to talk about before moving on to Sunday's game and getting your thoughts on that and predictions. But, with England, you always question the manager. It's always, is this team right? Is that team right? I think we could all agree that Southgate's got it bang on so far. There was one thing last night that I wanted to speak about. The substitution of Jak Grealish, obviously bringing him on, taking him off about half an hour later. I want to ask you, Georgia, what you thought on that, and what Jak Grealish might have been thinking, and what Southgate's thinking might have been in doing that.
Yeah, I think, again, it's game management. We've gone that goal ahead, and as I think with Jak Grealish, with why in my opinion, why he may not start during 90 minutes is because he is so good on the ball that the commentators have picked up on it now, God knows how many times. He draws fouls so many. He's the most foul player, and that's great in terms of the latter stages of the game when you're 1-0 up, 2-0 up, and you're winning them fouls. And during them build-up phases of trying to get that goal, it actually works against you because you're breaking up your own play. And we kind of know that Gareth Southgate loves kind of this kind of flowing football at the moment. And to have a player that is so dangerous, that breaks up play through no fault of his own, is sometimes a hindrance. So for him to come on at them latter stages, I think that's what that was. Also, he's this huge attacking threat, and if you need a goal at the end of the day, you need him on the pitch sometimes. And I think for me, it was, we've got that goal ahead. We now need to be able to hold that ball and keep it. And at the end of the day, bringing on a defender is the easiest way to shore up the back, and that's what we did at the end of the day. And I think for me, for Jak Grealish, I think Gary Neville touched on it. Nobody, especially sub, likes being subbed. It's an embarrassing moment in most cases, but in most cases it's not a Euro semi-final when you're 2-1 up. It's Premier League, we see it once in a blue moon. And I think for him, if the mentality of the camp is right, which by all accounts it is, and it certainly looks like it is, he'll understand that it's tactics. You'll have your ego for those split seconds, and you'll have it probably for those 10 minutes of, oh, I've been taken off. It's not performance, it's not personal. I think at the end of the day, it's somebody needs to come off to fill in to replace Trippier. And I think if the mentality is right within the camp, he'll understand. He'll know that it's sheerly tactics. And I think we saw at the end of the game that he was perfectly fine and was happy singing with everybody, because at the end of the day, the goal's much bigger than that one game, than them 20 minutes that are left. It's to win, a European Championship, and for him, that's probably a dream he's had since he was a boy. So to sacrifice those 15 minutes, or to sacrifice being possibly a meme on Twitter or whatever, I don't think anybody's really that bothered that Jak Grealish was subbed, and it's no doubt in anybody's mind that it was, performance based or whatever.
Yeah, obviously it can be a little bit embarrassing coming on to come back off, but as you said, he's in a Euro final. Not many people can say that, so I'm sure I'll be happy moving on to that Euro final. I'll have to get your guys' sort of thoughts and predictions on it. Wes, I'm going to start with you. What do you think is going to happen on Sunday, and what do you think we should expect from Italy, and what do you think we should be worried about when it comes to the Italian team?
I think obviously in terms of Sunday, obviously Denmark proved to be a really, really good test, I think, for England. But I think this Italian team is just on that next level. I'd probably say they are one of like Europe's in that elite group of nations. I think Italy have been so devastating on the counter attack, especially with the likes of Berardi and Chiesa, Immobile, Insigne, players like that. They've been really, really devastating. Actually, been really clinical. But I think within that as well, they've got really good technicians in that midfield. You've got Verratti and Jorginho. If you're looking at those two, you'd probably say they're a little bit similar in terms of the way they play. But however, they just seem to complement each other so well. You've got Barella in there, who's another great technician. You've got the engine of Locatelli, who sometimes can't even get in the team. We've spoken about before as well that the defensive kind of solidity of Italy, with Chiellini and Bonucci, the seasoned pros that have been there, seen it, done it, got the T-shirt on many occasions. So it's going to be difficult, I think, for us to try and almost break Italy down. So I think we've definitely got to have that pace that I spoke about in the wider areas. I think we've got to have that again, because I think that's probably our best sort of route to like going forwards. But it's going to be a very, very good game. It's going to be a really, really good watch because I think Italy have got the capability to come at England as well, and not just kind of sit off and defend really deep. So, I mean, it depends kind of how they approach the game as well. But I think, from an England perspective, we've got that home crowd there. I think we've got to definitely use that to our advantage and, hopefully gain a bit of control in the game. But I think as well, what we have to be wary of is the fact that if, for example, we have a spell without the ball, that we still remain calm. And I think, we've got to sort of manage the spells without the ball that Italy are going to have, because, as I said, they've got some great technicians in there who can keep the ball and stuff like that. So, I think, it's going to be a good game, as I said, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get the job done. But by no stretch, it's not going to be easy at all, because this Italy team, their unbeaten run, I think it's 33 games, something like that. Obviously, Mancini's done an incredible job to pick them up from kind of where they were, not even qualifying for the last World Cup. And, he's just sort of taken them over, giving them that new lease of life, but also changing the way that they play, because, yes, they still have that defensive solidity to Italy, but, going forward, they are a lot better than what they have been previously. And it's not like their game is based on that defensive solidity anymore. It's based on, a few other things. I think Mancini's done really, really well, as I said, with this Italian team. So we have to be really, really careful. And hopefully we get the balance right within the team in order to hopefully get the right result from the game.
Yeah, you have nice, very in-depth answer there, sort of, signaling all their sort of strengths and stuff like that. Tom, Wes obviously mentioned where Italy is strong there. Where do you think, obviously, are you in agreement with all of that? And also, where do you think the key battles will be on Sunday? Do you think it'll be a game sort of where the key battles are in midfield, or do you think maybe out wide on the flanks is where some of the biggest threat could be?
Obviously, Italy, they've famously played with the three in the midfield, haven't they, this tournament, with like Jorginho at the base and then either Verratti, Locatelli, Barella as the other two. And I think, obviously, we've tended to play two in the middle with, obviously, Rice and Phillips. So I think it'll be interesting in there to see if Southgate sticks with the two in the middle, and if he does, whether we get overran, or he puts someone else in the middle to help that. So I think, obviously, it is a bit of a cliche in football. The game's won or lost in midfield, but I think that that will be probably the most important part for the game. But obviously, as well, out wide they've got like Wes said, Berardi, Chiesa, Insigne. So it's going to be interesting to see how Shaw and probably Walker deal with that as well. But I think, obviously, defensively, I think we can get at them. With obviously their defenders aren't the quickest, but obviously Bonucci and Chiellini read the game really well. So I think if we can get in behind, then we've got a great chance. But I think Southgate's really got to nail the midfield for me anyway. And I think that's where we'll either win or lose the game.
Yeah, that Italian midfield is excellent, and I think you're right. Games are won and lost in midfield, and I think our two boys, Rice and Phillips, have been excellent so far. But it will be a real test on Sunday. Georgia, where do you think we could hurt Italy on Sunday, and what players are you sort of looking at in our team where you're thinking this will be the person to get the job done?
I think we saw Italy kind of, for once, kind of be quite. We saw some cracks, if you like, in the Spain game, and I think the one thing that let Spain down was they had no real point of attack. You know, it's been a long time since Spain have had a striker or strike partnership. You know, you're looking back at kind of David Villa, Torres days, and that there wasn't that for them. And I think at the end of the day, England for the first time have got a real attacking threat. You know, we've got Harry Kane, who's now coming into his own and is also so creative as well. I don't think he gets credit for it, of how deep he actually drops and links up play. And we've now got, again, wingers. We've got Raheem Sterling, we've got Saka, we've got Sancho. We've got so many out there who are attacking threats. And I think that pace and that kind of creativity, but patience now as well, is what may unpick Italy. I think, again, we saw it against Spain at times where Spain were linking up well. It was just that final product they didn't have. And for us, it seems like luck may kind of be rolling that way of we are getting them finishes, we are getting those chances. And I think that, you know, out wide, and especially Sterling, I see this being Sterling's game. We've seen him talk about him. We've seen the likes of the boy from Brent and how important Wembley is to him. And I don't think, at the end of the day, England and Italy are teams who are in kind of similar positions. You've got Italy, who are off the back of not qualifying for a World Cup and kind of national disgrace, and how much that meant to the players, which is what we're seeing now with this kind of redemption. And England, again, you know, the whole 30 years of hurt and not being in a final, but they've gone the completely other way and not feeling that pressure. So it'll be exciting to see these two kind of teams who've got this kind of history behind them and how they attack this final, because whoever wins it, it's going to be a massive, massive deal, not only for the team, but I think for the country as a whole.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be, you know, football aside, I think for either nation to win on Sunday is going to be just absolutely massive. I think we're all in agreement that it's going to be a tough test for England. Italy are a good side, but I also think we all believe that we do have a genuine fighting chance. So to wrap things up and finish things off, I'm going to have to ask each one of you, I want a score prediction for Sunday. How do you think it's going to go? I'm going to start off with you, Wes. What have you got for us?
Yeah, so I think in terms of Sunday, I'm going to go 2-1 England. I'm going to be brave, stick my neck on the line. 2-1 England. I think it. You know, I think Italy are going to score, I'd be very surprised if they don't. And I think it will probably come from one of their forward players, probably Chiesa. I think he's had a really good tournament. Scored some really crucial goals for them at crucial times in matches as well, and it's kind of swung things in Italy's favour. So yeah, I think Chiesa will score for Italy, and then I think for England, listen, is it the two main men, Sterling and Kane? I mean, you can't really put anything past them at the minute with the way that they're going. That obviously they're banging form, and you know, like I said, I wouldn't put it past them both to sort of get on the score sheet once again. So yeah, I'm going to go with those two for England, and then I'm hoping obviously Kane gets the golden boot as well. But if he doesn't, obviously he's had a really good second half of the tournament. But yeah, I think Sterling, it's his time, as Georgia said, the whole boy from Brent thing. I think he's really taken that to him. So yeah, hoping he can do the business in the final as well. So yeah, 2-1 England, Chiesa for Italy, and then Sterling and Kane for England.
Nice and confident as ever. Tom, your score prediction? What do you think is going to happen?
I don't want to be boring, but I was thinking literally the exact same as Wes. I think we'll probably. I think we might score. I say early. I think we'll probably score within the first 15, 20 minutes. I think we'll go 1-0 up. Then I think we'll concede, and then I think we'll score maybe 60 or 70th minute, and I think we'll just hold on from there. So yeah, I'm gonna go 2-1. I think Kane will score first, and I think Sterling will score in anywhere between 60th and 70th minute to win the game for us. Hopefully, anyway.
All right, so that's 2 sets of 2-1. Georgia, you sticking with that scoreline? You got something else for us?
I'm going to say 2-0. I mean, I think I've backed Italy for the whole tournament because I think they've been the most dangerous side and they've been the most exciting to watch. But having watched England last night, I do think it's switched, and I can't go against them at the moment. And I think I say 2-0 because I think if Italy score, it's going to be very hard to fight that, especially if they score first and they go one ahead, because they seem like a team that really enjoys that momentum. And I think for us, keeping that clean sheet and keeping it solid is something that will definitely, at the end of the day, it is kind of defences as well that win the game. And I think 2-0, and I think Sterling, and I think Harry Maguire. I think, we saw it tentatively last night in the game, and I think we've seen it before. I do think set pieces will be crucial as well, especially against such a kind of tall and dominant back four as Italy. So I hope 2-0, and then, hopefully it doesn't go to extra time, but definitely England win for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's all very positive so far. I'm going to have to. We've got it in us to win. I think it'll be a really tight game. I feel like it could be a case of whoever scores first wins. As you mentioned, Italy, very tight at the back. They love to defend. They love that momentum of, being a goal up and keeping a clean sheet. Might be difficult for us to break them down if they go 1-0 up. But on the flip side, up until last night, we hadn't conceded a goal. So clean sheets are obviously something that motivates us. We've been solid at the back. It's a really tight one. I do have a bit of a weird feeling it could go to extra time. But I just think being at Wembley, we've got that 12th man. And I think last night we really showed some great fitness levels, as you mentioned earlier, Georgia. So I'm confident we'll win it. I'm going to say 1-1 and we'll win it 2-1 in extra time. But, touch wood, all of our predictions are right in one way, and that we do get the win on Sunday. But, either way, it's been an excellent tournament, hasn't it? But, yeah, that's pretty much all we've got time for. I think we're all just looking forward to Sunday now. It's going to be a long couple of days waiting for it, I'm sure. But I just want to thank you for joining me. It's been great. So, thank you all.